Hello, everyone. Hey, we just got through a double feature here tonight. We're gonna go ahead and do them both here in this video. So we saw Smallfoot first, and then we saw Night School, the Kevin Hart movie. Um, and so I guess we might as well talk about Smallfoot first before we get to the piece of shit we just sat through. Oh, sorry, spoiler. But I might have to sort of rethink a little bit how I felt about Smallfoot, considering we're in a post-night school world right now. So Smallfoot is the new animated movie that's out. Was it Warner?
Yeah, it was Warner Brothers.
Warner Animation did did Night School. Yeah. Did Smallfoot. Actually, first you want to plug your channel real quick?
Yeah, I run the Real Geno. That's REELGENO. Do movie reviews, game playthroughs, a few other things got going on there right now.
You said you got a 20-minute video up there now on life itself.
Yeah, I did a spoiler review on Life Itself,
So did we.
and because there was no way I couldn't talk about it.
I mentioned to Sarah yesterday, I was like, Gino sent me a tweet earlier that was like, yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
Like, I'll send you a text saying you're probably going to call this the collateral beauty of this year.
I think Sarah and I went 38 minutes, but some of that was trailers. So, Smallfoot, I'm glad this movie finally came out because I've been getting trailers for this movie for what feels like the past year. Granted, there's been a lot of different trailers for the film, so I guess at least it wasn't the same trailer over and over again. And I thought the movie looked fine. It wasn't necessarily that I thought it looked bad or anything.
Yeah.
It was more so just like, all right, this needs to come out already. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of tired of seeing advertisements of this for like the past year. It's the movie that's where Channing Tatum is a Yeti. They live up in the mountains, and their like mythological creature is the Smallfoot, which are humans. And it is cool seeing how their society on this mountaintop works, because they base everything on these stones that they have that say like the Smallfoot doesn't exist. The mountain is on top of two giant mammoths, and they bang a giant gong that makes the sun come up, and they create these little ice balls that like feed the.
It keeps the mammoths cool.
Yeah.
Because if they get too hot, they'll fall, and then the mountain will fall into nothingness. The great nothingness. There's nothing under nothing under the clouds.
Yeah, nothing under the clouds or anything like that. And it is funny how they bang the gong, because they haven't put it together that you could just simply like bang it. Although one Yeti they said previously did, but they thought he was a nut. So instead they use a giant slingshot that just slams them into the gong, which like makes the sun rise. And then when Channing Tatum is given the job of doing this, and his dad is Danny DeVito, and it's showing like that Danny DeVito and like other relatives of
his whole family was the ones that were to bring the what was it, the giant snail or something was their son.
I think so. Oh,
it was like the glowing snail or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were like, my father's father and his father, and then there was Uncle so-and-so, he was a loon, and it showed him he had like a thing you would hit a gong with.
Yeah, and they've all got like brain damage, and they're all
flatheads.
Yeah, so like that stuff's pretty funny. And the animation is spectacular in the film.
Yeah, it is a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, right down to even little things about how the stones look. I mean, it's like, honestly, it looks real. Like when you look at like even the fur, the detail they put into the fur and how it moves, how the wind blows it and everything. They're standing there, and I'm like, whoa! Like, I know this is an animated movie, but I think Yetis might exist. Like it's top-notch animation in the film. And when Channing Tatum, then it's his turn to do the slingshot to raise up the snail son, which sounds ridiculous when you describe it. because it is. But so he misses, and then he sees this plane crash where this human comes out of it, and then he sees this Smallfoot. He goes to the village to try to explain to them that that's what he saw, but they're like, no, that can't exist because that means the scrolls are wrong, and if the scrolls are wrong, that means everything we believed up to this, it throws a wrench into everything we believe at this point. He tries to convince him of it, even though like the human parachuted away, and then right at the wrong moment, like the plane fell off of the mountaintop. Then he ends up finding this society of Yetis that believes the Smallfoot exists. So he goes into this village in the there by the mountain, and that's where the human in the movie is James Corden's character, who's like this Discovery Channel nature documentary guy who is trying to have a big comeback. So he sort of wants to stage this faux Yeti discovery, but then he actually sees the Yeti. They go back to the mountaintop, and it's a lot of what you see in the trailer. And there is some pretty, there is some clever stuff that they do in the movie. It's fun seeing sort of how the society works, especially with the animation. Like when little like rock gears are turning, it looks and is animated in a way that is like, it's really jagged when it moves, and it's very slow, and the sound design's very good on it too. I even like a lot of stuff with him and James Corden because they each can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah, that was pretty funny because when they first meet, and I think they had it in a trailer where the humans talking, all you hear is beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
And then whenever the Yeti talks, you just hear him growling.
Yeah.
And then, of course, eventually they learn to understand each other in a way, and they learn how to communicate. But yeah, the thing with the technology was neat because though it was all like stone and ice and things like that, like you said, it was high tech.
Yeah.
So which was kind of weird and crazy the way everything's set, because in this mountain they have all this technology that would be their technology.
Yeah.
Whenever the secrets started getting revealed throughout the movie, because you of course learn that someone is hiding something.
Yeah.
And that part was, I expected that stuff to come eventually, because you kind of know that, oh, so-and-so is going to be the problem.
Yeah.
And of course, he's not a, like, say, a straight up Scar villain.
Oh, the guy who's like the keeper of the stones, and he's like the chief of their Yeti village.
Yeah, it's like, don't question the stones. That's the whole thing. Don't question the stones, and it turns out he has a reason. He was hiding something, and he has a reason for it. And
oh, no. Oh, there we go.
So yeah, there's no real clear villain, but there are villains in it on both sides, because you learn that this village is they have like, there's legends of Yetis up in the mountains, and people have claimed to see them, but they're crazy. And so, and then you learn why they're hiding from society and things like that. It's stuff you kind of expect that's going to happen. I enjoyed that stuff, but I think you had the same problem I did. The movie just wasn't funny.
I mean, the movie is, there's certainly a lot to like about it, down to the animation, down to some of the voice acting. Even the plot is fine. It also is putting out a lot of lessons in the movie as well. Maybe a little too much, maybe a little too heavy-handed quite a bit, because it'll just stop and kind of explain to you what the lesson is. I'm like, all right, I know what you're doing here. This, like, coming together through all these misunderstandings and working together and accepting each other, and even, questioning traditions that they've long held, even though now, upon further evidence, like, maybe that's not the case. So yeah, it does have a message about certainly questioning things and using, facts on your side. A little bit I was like, wait, is this also like a really like pro conspiracy theory message? Because I don't know about that. But yeah, where I really come down on this movie, because again, it's a likable enough movie, but I wish it was funnier. Yeah, and that's really my big gripe about it.
Yeah, it tries to be funny, and there's a few chuckles here and there.
A few.
A lot of them you've seen in the trailer.
Most of them were from the trailer.
But yeah, I don't know, I can't remember the actor's name. One of the Yetis that is one of the conspiracy Yetis. I kept thinking it sounded like Charlie Day, but it wasn't. It was some actor I didn't know. I
It's
can't
the
remember.
actress. She's from Yara something. She's from Blackish, I want to say.
But yeah, the whole time it's just and just I got tired of hearing it.
Yeah, this is a side character in it that's just like this smaller Yeti that's there with him and who's always with like Channing Tatum and his group. And this is just one of those like trying too hard comic relief characters in a movie that doesn't really, you don't really need a character like this in a movie where everyone is supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, Channing Tatum, like, there's a lot of jokes with his character, and James Corden, certainly, and even a couple of the other Yetis. LeBron James is one of them. So then to have this, like, smaller Yeti that is not really a character, is just there to throw out, like, trailer punchlines. And that's it.
Yeah, there was times he was just there and they would be like, "Where's so-and-so?" "Oh, he's back up the top of the mountain." They show him pacing around. Pro number 57, why I shouldn't jump off the mountain. It's like, really? Do we need to go back for that? Oh, wait, I forgot he was even there. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's the kind of character where like two people will be talking and they'll get their point across, and then that character might just randomly show up in the background and go, "Ain't that the truth?" You know, it's that kind of character. So that was a little bit grating, but I wasn't sitting there necessarily miserable during the movie.
Yeah.
Because again, it was a pretty movie to look at. I certainly respect it on a technical aspect. And it's 90 minutes, so fine, it's not terribly long. But since you could see where everything was going with the movie. Not that you expect a movie like this to be unpredictable, but you see where everything's going. But because there weren't enough laughs to carry it, it was losing me quite a bit. My mind would be drifting off. I was yawning quite a few times in the movie. I had to like take my glasses off and kind of rub my eyes a little bit because my eyes were getting watery. And how I felt about watching this was, okay, this is a movie that I'm sure little kids will like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough, loud voices and everything in the movie and a lot of slapstick in it. So, again, like, I could see, a little kid genuinely enjoying this. So, if you got kids who want to see this movie and you want to go out to a movie for the weekend, I'm sure I'm sure there's probably something better. House with a Clock in Its Walls is a better movie than this. So there's better movies you could take the kids to. But if you do go see this movie, I'm sure the kids will have a fine time watching the movie. Me sitting there, I was like, all right, I don't need to be seeing this in a theater.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be. Yeah, I could see some adults being a little bit more kind of blah about this film. It's not bad. It's not, offensively dull or anything like that.
Yeah,
It was just a movie. Like, really, that's it. It was just a movie. And the bad jokes in the movie, other than that side character that was annoying, whenever a joke didn't land, which was way more often than not, I wasn't sitting there going, "Oh God!"
It wasn't F these jokes. It was just like, okay.
It's like, all right, there's that one. You missed that one. How about another one? All right, you missed that one too. There'll be another one here in a couple of seconds. All right, you missed that.
Well, we really can't judge if kids would have a good time in that theater because we get to the theater and we're the only ones there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if remember if it was during the previews or right before the previews. One other dude walks in.
Yeah.
I don't know how old he was, but he wasn't a kid. And it's just, okay.
Maybe he was like my happy ass when I had to go see Ice Age 5 alone, and I was the only one in that goddamn theater.
I expected some children to be in there. I figured there'd be some. I mean, it was a 4:00 showing.
It was a 4:00 showing, yeah. I mean, it's Thursday. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I guess a lot of them would maybe be in school.
I mean, I thought that's why they did them that early, is so kids could go to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was strange not seeing any kids in there. But you know, I
Well,
think kids would think it was okay.
sure. I mean, they'll have a better time at this than at night school, certainly.
I mean, if your kids like music, cartoons, because there's some decent music in this, it's fine.
Oh yeah, it is a musical.
Yeah, they break into song every now and then.
They do, and it's not that the songs are bad; they're just kind of there.
Yeah, it's not. Don't expect like a good Disney soundtrack here. There's some pop songs.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
one of them maybe will get like a. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. First of all, like maybe one of them will get like a best song nomination because sure, why not? That movie had a song in it. Let's nominate that.
Could it be the
But
one that they crammed into the trailer and had to put
that-
the credit up for
Yeah.
that played at the end of the movie?
They wanted to be like this year's like Trolls theme.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one part where they're in a karaoke bar and James Corden starts singing a cover of Under Pressure, but he's putting his own lyrics in that are going towards the story. And I was sitting there like, given the look and vibe and tone of this movie and where it's set, wouldn't Ice Ice Baby have been way more appropriate?
I honestly thought that's what they were going to.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, no, this is Bowie.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, you really could have done Ice Ice Baby right here.
Maybe Vanilla Ice was a dick about it.
Yeah. You can't sample my song. Really, dude? But, this is a movie that I'm just going to forget about. Considering I
Yeah.
saw a trailer for this movie for like a year, I'm really going to just forget about this film.
It'll pop up on Netflix. If you have kids, they're probably gonna watch it.
Yeah.
And you'll go do something else while they
And you'll
do it.
probably go do something
You
else.
may listen to it in the background.
Yeah, you'll go watch like I don't know, like Harry and the Hendersons or something. Like, look, if your choices of Yeti movies are this and To Catch a Yeti, well then clearly this movie is a fucking masterpiece. Like, if we're comparing it to some other Yeti movies, like maybe this is one of the better ones. Certainly better than To Catch a Yeti. Although To Catch a Yeti did have a better soundtrack. So should we any final thoughts about this? There's really not much to
Yeah,
say. It just wasn't that funny.
Yeah, if you're gonna take your kids, take them to a cheap show.
Yeah.
Or just wait for a video or Netflix. I mean, it's not a must see. And like he said, the Jack Black, I can never remember the title. House with the Clock and Its Walls.
House with the Clock and Its Walls. Yeah.
I had to record that title. I don't know how many times when I was trying to do my review. Yeah, go see it instead if you're gonna take your kids to see something. This one's fine though if you take them to it, but yeah, pay cheap prices. That's all I'd say about it.
Certainly. Other than that, I mean, just wait till it hits video. But okay, so Night School.
Okay, can I say this?
Yeah.
I missed Transformers for this.
Oh, the re-release. Was it because you thought this movie was going to be really good?
No, yeah, yeah.
Like I could go see the re-release
Let's
of
see.
the original Transformers.
Kevin
movie.
Hart, Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart.
Both surprisingly the same size. Optimus looks much bigger in the cartoon. You meet him in person, he's much smaller. Much
No,
like myself.
I didn't. Yeah, honestly, I was surprised I didn't get that Transformers release here in Springfield.
No, we didn't.
And I didn't want to go to Champaign for it.
Yeah.
So I decided to come help Brad watch
to go see, yeah.
Night School.
Okay, so what was worse, this or Life of the Party?
Oh God.
You gotta take that gun back out again, don't you?
If I need to. I don't know. I mean,
I would say Life of the Party is worse. This movie does have a
maybe because I know that Melissa McCarthy can do better.
right.
Kevin Hart, I
I've
know
seen
can
Kevin
do
Hart.
okay.
Yeah.
But you have to put him with the right people.
Uh-huh.
He has to be able to bounce off the right people. And
Was it
though I thought I think Tiffany Haddish is better than this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen her do better than this.
Yeah.
But listening to her and Kevin Hart go back and forth and back and forth. I don't know how many times they did it in this fucking movie. This movie.
This movie, at least, unlike Life of the Party, this movie does have a beginning, middle, and end.
Not
give it that. Like,
not just being yelled at and
Yeah.
listening to Melissa McCarthy rant incoherently the whole time.
One clue that this movie's maybe not very good is that it appears to have like what looked like it has like 20 writers on the film. The biggest credit on the film, and it seemed to take up half of the fucking screen, was the list of writers who worked on this thing. This is the movie where Kevin Hart, at the beginning of the film, he clearly has a learning disability. He's clearly got like dyslexia or something. And so he's like, fuck it. I'm not going to, take the SATs or whatever. Fuck it. I'm going to leave. I'm going to make something of my own and just make my own money and have the best girl in town. Cut to 17 years later. He's been working at a barbecue place for 17 years, but he is with this really powerful like ad executive. Is that what she was?
Yeah. Well, no, she's like an interior designer.
Oh, okay.
Because the villain wants to hire her later to redesign the school.
So she has a lot of money, and so he is with someone quite out of his league. He doesn't have like a terrible life by any means, but here's where this movie clearly just doesn't give a fuck. And I was like, all right, if you don't care, I don't fucking care. So when Kevin Hart proposes to his girlfriend, he does it inside of the barbecue place. And he does the champagne, and then it hits the gas line. Gas goes up, blows up. Now, his fiance is in the parking lot, like live streaming, like, oh shit, we just got engaged. And then the building with Kevin Hart inside of it, just the whole thing engulfed in flames, and just shoots him out from the middle of this gigantic fire and slams him into a car. All right, movie, look, you haven't earned this kind of shit at this point. And it does that a couple of times in this, but not enough for me to be like, okay, that's just simply the universe we're in right now. No, in this, it was just like shitty writing. Because later in the movie, Rob Riggle falls off a roof, lands on a on a handrail on the steps, and his arm is twisted behind his head. He's fine right after that.
Yeah, you expect to see him in a sling or something.
Not even that. Not even like, a sling or anything.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, hey, I'm better.
And I don't mean to be like, well, that's not realistic. It's just when a movie is already this fucking shitty, and they clearly don't fucking care about any goddamn thing that's on there. Like, look, if you want to do stuff like that, fine.
Do it the whole movie.
Totally. Like, at least set it up to where, like, this Kevin Hart can just survive being in the middle of an explosion in a building. Fine. If the movie was much funnier, that would be one thing too. It's not. This movie sucks. This movie sucks so hard. So he has to go back. He loses his job because the building blows up, and then he needs to get his GED, so he goes to night school. And, shenanigans ensue after that. And a big thing about this movie is I don't fucking care. I don't care about this guy, this fucking character that he's playing. This character isn't funny or charming or anything. Like, this character is just an asshole through it. And and so many of the other characters in the class are way more interesting than his character. From Romany Malco is this, like, fucking crazy guy in there who seems like he belongs on the bus from The Predator. He was a better character than...
No, it was the Terminators he was scared of.
Oh, right, true. He hasn't seen The Predator yet. And he was more interesting. Marilyn Rayskub was more interesting. Tiffany Haddish was more interesting than him. Who else was in that fucking... Rob Riggle. Like, I was sitting there like, I would rather see this from any other character's point of view than this film. The only character that really got a few chuckles out of me every now and then was the villain.
Yeah.
What's his name? He was on Saturday Night Live.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, the whole black voice thing.
They do that in the trailer where he's threatening him and he starts using a black voice.
What's funny though is I noticed in his office. Did you notice that they changed the poster from the trailer?
In the movie, it was Lean On Me.
Yeah, in the
what
movie,
was it in the trailer?
It's like it's like a fist, like a Black Power fist.
Oh.
Which I don't get that, why they changed that, but
I mean, I guess Lean on Me makes more sense, considering because he keeps going around the school in a bat with a bat and just like slamming people's lockers shut. He was getting a couple of mild chuckles out of me in this, which again is where I'll say, okay, don't get me wrong, this movie fucking sucks, but it got a couple of chuckles, which right there for me is like, all right, I guess it was less bad than Life of the Party was, which I don't even think got one fucking laugh out of me. This is a terribly edited movie too, because they'll just let the it's one of those where they just let the actors ramble and ramble and ramble, but it's cut weird.
Yeah.
There's like conversations that are clearly cut just from a lot of ad-libbing, a lot of improvising, and they're just edited together to sort of make it look like a conversation, but you can tell it was part of something that was way longer.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes it's not even lines. Sometimes they'll stop and just go puh, 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 back and forth, back and forth. One time with Romany Malco, they reuse footage.
yeah,
Or
3 times, 4 times.
yeah.
So that's what's up.
Yeah, like 2 people will be having a conversation, then it'll just randomly cut to this stock shot of Romany Malco going, so that's what's up. And and then when it cuts back to Kevin Hart talking, you see Romany Malco in the background, just like not even really paying attention to the conversation. So it's like, all right, that was just a random stock shot you had of him, and you just stuck it in there for no fucking reason. And because this movie is such a shitbag comedy, of course it's almost 2 hours long.
Oh boy, does it feel it.
Like, why wouldn't it be? Like, it's one of like 20 crappy comedies that I've seen this year that are almost 2 hours long, and it's frustrating because you can tell, like, this could be shortened, that could be shortened, that could be taken out, that could be taken out, this doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
One thing about the editing, did you notice the dubbing on some of the voices?
I could tell a few times when there was some ADR going on.
Yeah, it was a lot of the times it was whenever they're doing the crack a butt like a walnut thing, they changed it like 3 times.
Is this movie a PG-13?
I don't know.
Because that would explain that.
I guess.
Maybe like it was.
But it was bad dubbing.
Yeah, like think again, like the whole crack a butt with a walnut thing. It's like several other jokes in this movie where something will be going on. In that case, where they sneak into the school to steal the test answers, and then it'll just stop so that Marilyn Ray's Cub can do this whole long bit about what's with them saying, what's with everyone's obsession with the butt now? Like, crack a butt like a walnut. What does that mean? Like, the plot just will stop dead for characters to go on a stand-up routine, like, out of fucking nowhere. This movie sucks. There's one thing that I'll sort of give it, like, because the way that the movie starts out, I was sitting there like, okay, is this what's gonna happen? Is he's gonna lose his job, and then his fiance will dump him like Tiffany Haddish did to her boyfriend and Uncle Drew.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
like is the rich fiance gonna dump him after this, and then he and Tiffany Haddish get it on or something like that? And you know what? I'll give the movie that. It didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he still does, like, okay, like, yeah, of course, they still do the stupid third act breakup thing with him and his girlfriend, or his fiance. They still do that bullshit, and she comes in when he's given the speech at the graduation. And so, yeah, there's still some crap that's going on there. But I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll give it that at least. Like, it didn't quite do the bitchy fiance dumps him, then he ends up with the teacher. Like, all right, fine. But even then at the end, when he's given the speech at the graduation, because they let the night school people go to the graduation ceremony with the regular students, and then there's Kevin Hart up there giving a speech about his dad saying that, like, you're a waste of sperm and things like that. So again, it just goes on to this monologue about sperm.
Yeah. And they waste Keith David.
He was another chuckle that the movie got out of me. At the
Keith
very
David
beginning
was
of it.
Kevin Hart's dad.
Yeah.
And he's Keith David. So, of course, it's going to be awesome. But he's in it for maybe, and I'm being generous, 10 minutes.
Well, what do we know? The audience seemed to like it. Man, so like when Tiffany Haddish is training him in like a kickboxing ring by beating the shit out of him so he'll get his answers.
Because that's how you fix learning disabilities. He's got like what
beat
is
the
it?
shit out of
It's
him.
like 3 or 4 learning disabilities.
Uh-huh.
And focus. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When she tells him what his disabilities are, and she's like, "You have a processing disability." He's like, "What? Prostate cancer? I don't have that. I got myself checked." That's not what I mean, silly. And then Tiffany Haddish is beating the shit out of him, wraps her legs around his neck, and he's like, all right, I know what H2O means now. And then he's like, what's that smell? I just farted. Now you know what
that's a gas.
That's a gas. That's methane. The audience, ha ha ha. Well, they had fun.
Good for them.
I don't think I've heard you sigh so much in a movie. Like everything shitty that was going on in this movie, like I don't know, like him like his car's getting towed and he's like, wait a minute, there's a baby back there. There's no baby back there. Sure there is. Hear it. Where? You're next to me like I looked over at you at one point and you looked so mad sitting through this, just like rage eyes sitting through this movie.
Because all I was thinking was, I should be at Transformers right now.
I should be a Transformer right now and shoot the shit out of this screen.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, this... a better choice would probably be between this and Transformers 2, because they both have relatively the same humor in them. I'm actually surprised Robot Balls weren't in this movie. There was a character obsessed with robots.
God. And, I don't know. There is a little bit of scene with Balls with the pubes.
Oh yeah, there was a whole like really hilarious gag where Kevin Hart gets out of paying a bill by reaching into his pants and putting pubes on his cheesecake, as if, that wasn't solid in its own right. It goes on to again just ramble comedy between him and Al Madrigal, back and forth talking about pubes. Like, I could tell these are a black man's pubes. What? You're racist. These are pubes. These are your pubes. No, they're not. These are your... Like, fuck me. God damn it. Just everyone in this movie needs to shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up and let a scene end. The joke wasn't even good to begin with. Why is it going for 15 more minutes? Stupid. I think this whole movie was just built around the idea that someone thought it would be funny if Kevin Hart was in a chicken suit.
Yeah, that was a lot of it too. The whole whatever, what was the place called?
Christian Chicken.
Christian Chicken.
I know that joke because we had that in Jesus Bro.
Man, now Kevin Hart's stealing from you? Shit. First Kevin Sorbo, now Kevin Hart. What other Kevin?
All the Kevins.
What other Kevin is gonna steal from you next?
Kevin James remakes the Cinema Snob movie. No, this that whole thing with him working at the fast food joint could have been cut out of this movie. There's so much you could shorten literally every joke in this film, and that would probably take it down to about 90 minutes. But that whole subplot in the chicken joint, that didn't need to be there, really. Like,
no, not at all.
Like, okay, I guess it's there because, like, all right, he at least needs a part-time job, I guess, during this. But look, who's gonna fucking question that? This movie's asking me not to question how he survived being in the middle of an explosion. I'm not gonna question. You didn't need to explain to me that he had to go work at a chicken shop.
Yeah.
Ugh. No, the movies, I really don't recommend this film.
No,
like,
not at all. Tiffany Haddish. Oh, I'm not even going to name actors. Everybody that's in this has been better in something else.
There's also better, like, movie... This movie just made me want to go back and rewatch stuff like... Look, if you want to see a movie like this, like a band of misfits in this class that they're taking together, stay home and watch, like, Summer School or Moving Violations or something like that.
Yeah.
Go back to that. Yeah, dude, do that. They do that kind of movie way better than a movie like this, probably because they stick to the fucking script and they at least have a likable lead in there. Like, you know, if I get summer school, I'd like Chainsaw and his buddy, like making everyone in the class look dead and shit. That movie's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I will not ever recommend this. I won't recommend it at home. I won't
It was terrible.
anything.
It was bad. It was almost as bad as Life of the Party. It didn't quite achieve that for me, really, but that doesn't mean it was good. This is still a piece of shit.
It tried.
It tried to be as bad as Life of the Party, but nah. Any final thoughts about the movie?
This movie sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'll leave it. This movie sucks. And thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We did this shit together, man. All right. So, there is Hellfest that's also out. I'm gonna try to see that. I won't be able to tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to see that this weekend sometime. Ryan and AJ are gonna have a video up too, I believe, on Assassination Nation. Ryan and AJ over on patreon.com/thecinemasnob. They have their reviews over there. They just did one that's posted. They did one on Fahrenheit 11/9. They've got one over there on Mandy as well, and coming up here soon, this weekend, maybe tomorrow, will be I believe they're seeing Assassination Nation. So all right, guys. Thanks a bunch for watching us talk about these two movies that you will definitely forget.
We know we will.
Yeah. Later.
Later.